The sun hung low over the vast plains of Serengeti National Park, painting the skies in hues of amber and crimson. The day had been long, and Emily, an experienced wildlife ranger, was making her final rounds before heading back to the station. As her jeep rumbled along the dusty trails, the call of a lion echoed across the savannah, a deep, haunting roar that seemed different from the majestic calls she was used to. It wasn't a call of dominance or warning. It was a cry filled with pain, desperation, and something she couldn't quite place. Emily slowed her vehicle, scanning the horizon for any signs of the source. The Serengeti was home to some of the most magnificent creatures on Earth, but even the mightiest animals could fall victim to the harsh realities of the wild. The thought of a lion in distress tugged at her heartstrings. Lions were more than just animals to her. They were the soul of the savannah, symbols of strength and survival. As she stepped out of the jeep, the cool evening breeze brushed against her face. She moved cautiously, her trained eyes scanning every shadow and movement in the golden grass. The roar came again, louder this time, and she realized it was closer than she had thought. Following the sound, she pushed deeper into the brush, her boots crunching softly against the dry earth. After a few minutes, she spotted him. A massive male lion lay sprawled near a cluster of acacia trees, his golden mane glistening under the fading sunlight. He was unlike any lion she had ever seen, not because of his size or his regal appearance, but because of the way he looked at her. His amber eyes, usually fierce and commanding, were filled with a mix of pain and pleading. He let out another low roar, a sound that sent shivers down her spine. Emily's heart pounded in her chest. She was no stranger to the wild, but approaching an injured predator was always a dangerous task. Yet something about this lion made her hesitate. He didn't seem threatening. If anything, he appeared to be asking for help. Slowly, she inched closer, her hands raised slightly to show she meant no harm. As she got within a few feet, she saw the source of his agony. A jagged, bloodied snare was wrapped tightly around his hind leg, cutting deep into his flesh. The trap, likely set by poachers, had left the lion immobilized and in excruciating pain. Emily's breath caught in her throat. The sight of such a powerful creature, brought low by human cruelty, filled her with anger and sadness. The lion growled softly as she knelt down, but it wasn't a growl of aggression. It was as if he understood she was there to help. Emily reached for her radio, calling for backup and medical assistance. Her team was miles away, but she knew every second counted. "Hang in there, big guy," she murmured, her voice steady despite the chaos in her mind. She opened her emergency kit, pulling out a tranquilizer dart. If she was going to help him, she needed him calm and still. She aimed carefully and fired, the dart finding its mark. The lion flinched, but didn't resist. Within minutes, his massive body relaxed and he drifted into unconsciousness. With the lion sedated, Emily moved quickly. The snare was tightly coiled, its barbs embedded deep in his flesh. Blood oozed from the wound, and she could see signs of infection setting in. She worked with precision, using bolt cutters to remove the trap. Once it was off, she cleaned the wound as best as she could, applying antibiotics and bandages. She knew it was only a temporary fix. The lion needed professional veterinary care to fully recover. As she worked, she couldn't shake the feeling that the lion's distress went beyond his injury. There was something about the way he had roared, the way he had looked at her, that hinted at a deeper pain. Once the trap was removed, she took a moment to examine the area. That's when she noticed something unusual. A faint trail of blood led away from the lion's resting spot, disappearing into the tall grass. Her heart sank. Could there be another injured animal nearby? She followed the trail cautiously, her flashlight cutting through the growing darkness. The savannah was eerily silent. the usual sounds of chirping insects and rustling leaves replaced by an oppressive stillness. After a few minutes, she found the source of the blood. A lioness. The female lay on her side, her breathing shallow and labored. She was smaller than the male, her tawny coat marred with scratches and dried blood. Emily realized with a jolt that this must be the male's mate. The bond between lion pairs was strong, and it was clear that the male's cries had been for her as much as for himself. She had been injured too, likely in a fight with poachers or other predators, and had dragged herself here to die. Emily's eyes filled with tears as she knelt beside the lioness. She was weak, but her eyes flickered open briefly, locking onto Emily's with a look that was hauntingly human. Emily knew she couldn't save her alone. She radioed her team again, urging them to hurry. By the time help arrived, the stars were twinkling above the Serengeti, casting a soft glow over the scene. Emily and her team worked tirelessly, loading both lions onto stretchers and transporting them to the nearest wildlife rehabilitation center. The journey was tense, every bump in the road a reminder of how fragile their lives were. Days turned into weeks as the lions recovered under the care of veterinarians. Emily visited them often, watching as the male regained his strength and the lioness began to heal. Their bond remained unbroken, the male often lying protectively beside her, his massive frame a shield against the world. The story of the injured lions spread quickly, drawing attention to the dangers of poaching and the resilience of these magnificent creatures. Emily's bravery and quick thinking were hailed as heroic, but for her, the real reward was seeing the lions return to the wild together, their spirits unbroken despite everything they had endured. As she watched them disappear into the golden expanse of the Serengeti, Emily felt a profound sense of hope. The king and queen of the savannah had been brought to their knees, but they had risen again, a testament to the strength of nature and the power of compassion.